Good evening and welcome to the Diamond News Desk at 8. We do give you details of stories that you have been reading on our website, diamondtvzambia.com, and you can get more details on Diamond TV Online. That's on Facebook and on X at Diamond TV Zambia. The details are coming up. Headlines this evening, government warns against direct donations as street kids struggle with cold and drug abuse. Tonse Alliance criticizes government's response to U.S. funding halt, demands full disclosure on drug theft, and later on, President Hichilema pursues Czech Republic collaboration in medicine and vaccine production. Good evening once again. You're watching the Diamond News Desk at 8 with me, Tapiwa Ngoma. Here are your details. As temperatures drop across Zambia, life has become increasingly hard for homeless children lacking warm clothes, blankets, and shelter. In a desperate attempt to cope, some children have turned to abusing Bostitch, a dangerous street drug, to numb themselves from the cold. The children are now appealing to well-wishers for warm clothing and blankets to help them survive the harsh season. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services Permanent Secretary Angela Kawandami says the ministry has various integration programs to place for street children. Ms. Kawandami has since discouraged the public from offering direct aid, warning that the children often sell donated items and continue abusing substances.
As the cold season grips the nation, the streets of Zambia have become even harsher for those without a place to call home.
For many children on the streets, survival has become a daily battle. One fought not just against hunger, but now against the biting cold of winter.
Without blankets, warm clothes, or shelter, these vulnerable children are left completely exposed to the elements. In their desperation, many have turned to a dangerous coping mechanism, inhaling Bostitch, a toxic drug, just to generate a false sense of warmth. We don't want to be on the streets to suffer like this, and this is why we have turned to this drug, just to keep warm. We can agree if they give us aid. Life during the cold season on the street becomes difficult. It is challenging.
After the deep on a fair she, the Penabonica school or Bontrica Spata, Blue Daddy, Penabonacina school. A Benamuno Musaka, Naponogan so.
It's a heartbreaking scene. Young lives trapped in a cycle of poverty and addiction, or in an attempt to stay alive. They roam the streets by day, begging not just for food, but now also for warm clothing, jackets, or anything that can help shield them from the chill.
Jesus.
We are appealing that people can come through to us and help us.
Sometimes kufa kone okudia zona watu wafu kwa bambi taboro mpwa bwino pene na balalo no kudala bambi mpepo so apanaye bengira n'okwingira bambeta abafiringira amablanketi kweka kutuma blanketi.
However, the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services is not sitting idly by.
We can't, because what starts happening on the streets, unfortunately, you get a lot of theft, substance abuse, so those would immediately be exchanged for cash. I don't think they would even last one day. But we do have a policy where we are removing children from the streets. Again, to the public, I know we've been running messages. Please, all the good Samaritans out there, do not go onto the streets and start giving them warm clothes or blankets. Please get in touch with your social welfare officers or maybe even your favorite childcare center and give them those things, because the children will be taken there.
As concerned citizens, their plea is clear. They need help, they need warmth, and above all, they need hope. Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
Former ZAMMSA Director General Victor Nyasulu has described the agency's governance as chaotic, blaming political interference for the dysfunction. Speaking when he featured on Hot FM's Hot Seat program, Mr. Nyasulu, says the working relationship between ZAMMSA and the Ministry of Health needs serious reform. He has also called on Health Minister Elijah Muchima to apologize for alleging that he was dismissed and prosecuted for medicine theft, a claim Mr. Nyasulu has denied. Mr. Nyasulu has, however, clarified that he was removed by a kangaroo court and insists the case has not yet been heard in court, where he plans to respond to allegations of procurement irregularities.
I have stressed repeatedly that the accountable safeguarding of American.
After the U.S. ambassador to Zambia held a press briefing announcing the 1.4 billion kwacha grant cut to Zambia's healthcare system due to government delay to act on the investigations finding exposing theft, the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency ZAMMSA is embroiled in controversy. According to former Director General Victor Nyasulu, the governance situation at ZAMMSA is chaotic due to political interference. Mr. Nyasulu disclosed this at the Hot Seat program today.
Confusion. Yeah, it's confusion. Okay, the state of governance at ZAMMSA is chaotic because of political interference. Now, somebody will say, yeah, but you yourself are a political cadre. Yeah, I mean, political cadre deployment is a policy that a party can take. I know that the ANC does political cadre deployment. What's important is not whether somebody is a cadre or not, but whether somebody is qualified for a job or not.
Mr. Nyasulu alleges that his firing was as a result of a kangaroo court and denies allegations of medicine theft. The controversy comes at a time when the U.S. has cut grants for life-saving drugs, citing grant theft concerns.
That portion of the minister's statement to say that, one, I am fired and arrested for medicine theft is not true. Two, that I am in court, it is not true. The truth is that I was fired by a kangaroo court, and at the moment, the matter is yet to go to court. So I'm going to court to answer on procurement irregularities that the state has leveled against me.
Nyasulu agrees with the American ambassador's frustrations and warns of a huge gap in drug supply if the issue isn't addressed. Pharmaceuticals experts are also concerned about the happenings.
What the government need to do is the people they are found wanting with these commodities, they should stop giving them what I can say fake charges, yeah, where someone is found with the government drugs, they give them to say failure to keep record, and you pay 12 pin, 10 pin, go. I think that should stop. They need also to government need also to act on the report by the USA.
Former DG points to lack of investment in medicine security as a major challenge. Samuel Sylvester Kwawe, Diamond News, Eastern Zambia.
Tonse Alliance spokesperson Sean Tembo has condemned what he called unfounded threats made by Ministers Jack Mwimbu, Mulambo Haimbe, and Elijah Muchima against the U.S. ambassador to Zambia and other diplomats. This follows the U.S. government's decision to withhold medical funding over theft concerns. Mr. Tembo has warned that such actions damage Zambia's international image and has demanded that the government reveals the individuals involved in the medicine theft scandal. Meanwhile, the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU, is calling for the immediate dissolution of ZAMMSA and the dismissal of all its leadership. ZCTU President Mulala Blake has threatened protests if action is not taken.
In an online press briefing, the Tonse Alliance has come out strongly against what it describes as unfounded diplomatic threats made by senior UPND government ministers. Spokesperson Sean Tembo openly criticized ministers Jack Mwimbu, Mlambo Haimbe and Elijah Muchima for what he termed as reckless comments directed at the United States ambassador to Zambia and other diplomats following the U.S. government's decision to withhold medical funding over concerns of corruption. Mr. Tembo warned that such actions are tarnishing Zambia's international image and a reputation he says has taken years to build.
Our position as Tonse Alliance is that those threats are totally unfounded and they constitute a very big dent in terms of Zambia's image abroad. You must remember, countrymen and women, that the goodwill which Zambia as a country enjoys today is something that has been built over time through painstaking efforts, starting from the time that President Kenneth Kaunda was president of the Republic of Zambia. He went out of his way to assist the neighbors. He went out of his way to ensure that he does not get involved in the divisions that were there in the world. And Zambia was one of the notable non-aligned countries.
He went further, demanding that the government review the names of those implicated in the medicine theft scandal, questioning why those responsible are still being shielded from the public eye.
The three ministers yesterday is something that should attract condemnation from all right-thinking Zambians. So the question then that might arise is why were those threats wrong? Why was it the wrong thing for government to issue those threats to the U.S. ambassador as well as other ambassadors? It was wrong because when you look at the statement that came from the U.S. ambassador, he was merely speaking about the decisions made by his country which affects the masses. And that decision cannot be kept a secret. Take collective effort and make a list in terms of the high-level individuals who are culpable in this entire saga.
Meanwhile, the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions is also turning up the pressure.
Innocent Zambians must not suffer at the expense of few greedy, thieving individuals. Those must be made to account and be brought to book. Lastly, we want to appeal to our members, the workers across the country, especially those working under the health sector. Stay away from bad vices. Can you be a good example? Because this fight, we are joining the fight against the misuse of taxpayers' money. As we join this fight as a labor movement, we are not going to leave anyone behind. All those who are going to be found wanting would advocate for the visitation of the law, and the ZAMMSA will need an overhaul. If government is not going to take that action, we as Congress will mobilize, go and protest. Enough is enough, and we cannot allow this to be business as usual.
With both political and civil voices demanding transparency and accountability, pressure continues to mount on the UPND administration to act swiftly and decisively. Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
The return of Donald Trump to the U.S. presidency has triggered a major foreign policy shift, including the end of USAID funding in Zambia. The funding cuts have forced the shutdown of programs supporting agriculture, TB and HIV treatment, education and family health. In response, President Hakainde Hichilema met with a delegation from the Czech Republic and called for stronger bilateral ties. The president said Zambia is seeking Czech partnerships in local manufacturing of medicines and animal vaccines. Czech Republic Prime Minister Marian Jurečka pledged increased investment in Zambia. Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Minister Mlambo Haimbe called for a robust bilateral cooperation framework.
In July 2024, President Joe Biden withdrew from the U.S. presidential race due to age and health concerns, endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. However, former President Donald Trump won the November 2024 election and returned to office in January 2025. Since then, Trump's administration has made major cuts to foreign aid, including a 90% reduction in USAID funding, impacting development programs across Africa, including Zambia. Recently, U.S. Ambassador to Zambia, Michael Gonzalez, announced a cut of 1.4 billion kwacha in annual aid for malaria, HIV and TB medication. He cited the Zambian government's failure to act on the theft of U.S.-donated drugs. President Hakainde Hichilema is seeking stronger bilateral ties with other countries, including the Czech Republic.
Health is very important to us, extremely important to us. The COVID era taught us a lot. We lost a lot of people unnecessarily because initially the vaccines were only available to those who manufactured them. So we want to see capacity, invite Czech firms to jointly invest with Zambian companies in the manufacture of drugs. The world, the global geopolitics have changed. We are aware of that. And that's why I think we ought to deepen our partnership, Czech Republic, Zambia, to recognize the changed environment.
The Czech Republic has pledged increased investment in Zambia's health and other key sectors.
We are not only having these relations, but we are intensifying them, and that's very important. Last year, the president of our Senate visited your beautiful country with a business delegation as well, and we keep developing not only the development cooperation, but also business cooperation and investments.
This, I would want to say, is the right time for the stronger cooperation in economic terms as well. There are many opportunities for the Czech people here in Zambia as we strengthen our bilateral ties.
The outcomes of all this is quite commendable, and our relationship is extremely good.
Trump's return signals a rollback in U.S. commitments, putting countries like Zambia at risk of losing further investments. Darius Jonya, Diamond News.
Meanwhile, Czech Republic Deputy Prime Minister Marian Jurečka has reaffirmed his country's commitment to supporting the development of skilled labor in Zambia. Speaking when he earlier paid a courtesy call on the Minister of Labor and Social Security, Brenda Tambatamba, Mr. Jurečka has expressed his readiness to collaborate with the ministry to ensure the training and motivation of workers.
matters you may wish to debate with me. We've got quite a lot of experience, positive as well as negative, so we can also share with you what did not work.
Ale velmi rád uslyším, co se v té vaší práci daří vám, co třeba může být inspirativní pro nás, kde se můžeme my obohatit a naučit zase od vás, tak jsem připraven opravdu na dobrou a intenzivní spolupráci.
But I stand ready for good and intense cooperation because I'm very keen to learn about your situation, about your development, because I'm sure there is a lot we can learn from you as well.
Sit in a place where technology may not be as widespread as it may be elsewhere, including your country. So, Your Excellency, Zambia recognizes that this revolution will change the labor market tremendously, will change the way we do recruitment, and so this is a place for learning. Together with you, we would like to implore you that certainly would like to enter the lab with you. Certainly would like to run with this.
You're watching the Diamond News Desk at 8 with me, Tapiwa Ngoma. Now we take a look at the weather and see what the weather does look like for tonight and days to follow. Thereafter, we have our Diamond Insight. And after the break, we give you the business news headlines and details.
This is your Diamond Insight of government's response to the U.S. medical funding cut. The decision by the United States government to cut $50 million in annual health aid to Zambia is not just a fiscal or diplomatic event, it is a life and death matter. What is at stake here is the well-being of ordinary Zambians who depend on public health institutions for survival, particularly in accessing life-saving medication for HIV, malaria and tuberculosis. It is deeply troubling to hear government voices, particularly from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, framing this development as a diplomatic concern. This is not about geopolitics, it is about the theft of medicines meant for the sick and vulnerable and the failure of our accountability systems within our own health supply chains. The US government's concern is straightforward. Drugs donated to Zambia for free distribution are being systemically stolen and sold in private pharmacies. This isn't a matter of semantics or diplomatic sensitivities, it is criminal and it is costing lives. What's more, the problem may not even be limited to the US-funded medical supplies. The Zambian government often insists that our hospitals maintain over 70% stock levels above the WHO threshold, yet ordinary citizens walk into clinics and leave empty-handed. If this contradiction does not raise alarm bells, what will? It suggests that even government-procured medicines are indeed vanishing through the same corrupt networks. The government must stop deflecting. It is not enough to call for audits or suspend a few officials after pressure mounts. There must be systemic reform and visible accountability. Until theft and mismanagement in our healthcare system are dealt with head-on, no amount of foreign assistance or public relations will restore trust or protect the public. Let us not sacrifice the health of our people on the altar of diplomatic pride. The truth may be uncomfortable, but denying it will only deepen the crisis.
Business News is brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Business News Update tonight on the Diamond News Desk at 8. Here are the stories making headlines tonight. School-aged children tend to mobilize sausage frying business in Chinsali. And stronger kwacha yet to yield benefits for car dealers. We'll give the details of these stories, but later on we'll take a look at the money markets. This is the performance of the kwacha on the international market, but also we'll take a look at the commodity prices for the food items, the non-food items, as well as construction commodities. All this coming up tonight in business. Well, let's now get into the details of the business news stories we have for you today. To present them, my name is Cosmos Chongo Malenga. School-aged children have flooded Chinsali Town Centre with a mobile sausage frying business they have dubbed Ilenda Ilepia, claiming it is a way to raise money for school requisites. Despite schools reopening on Monday, 12th May 2025, the activity remains widespread. Now, Diamond TV spoke to a 12-year-old Richard Chanda, a grade 5 pupil at Chinsali Primary School, who shared that he started the business with a capital of 70 kwacha, spending 50 kwacha on a brazier and 20 on sausages. Now, Richard says he earns up to 21 kwacha from each sausage by slicing and reselling it at 1 kwacha per piece. When asked about attending school, Richard hesitated and stated that he plans to return once he raises enough money for his school needs. Now, the Diamond TV News crew also observed several children between the ages of 10 and 15 crowding a local meat outlet to purchase sausages for resale.
Braziers, designed with a carrier and housing a frying pan, are a common sight among children in Chinsali's Central Business District CBD. Ilenda Ilepia is what they call it. This is a new business among children of school-going age. They converge here at a named meat outlet, rekindling their fire, buying sausages and carefully cutting the sausages to desired sizes in readiness for resale. Diamond TV had a chat with 12-year-old Richard Chanda, not his real name, of Kafula Musungu, and a grade 5 pupil at Chinsali Primary School.
Wakwete 20 kwacha. Wafumisha gwisa? Wafumisha gwisa 20 kwacha. Then after wakwata 20 wa station. Defe wamba kushilisha ife. Walikwete mbagula.
My chat with Richard reveals that he spent 50 kwacha on the brazier and 20 kwacha he bought 2 sausages, which he cuts into 21 slices, one slice costing 1 kwacha. And the profit realized, he gives his mother. He claimed that the business is doing well, as per day he is able to raise more than 50 kwacha, which he intends to use to buy school requirements. He further tells me that today he only bought 2 sausages, and by midday he had managed to get 20 kwacha. His plan is to use the money to buy school requirements. Although the business is lucrative, it has raised concerns among parents in Chinsali on child labor who could be sending them and the possibility of these children returning to school. Cecilia Kaya Mporokoso, Diamond News, Chinsali, Muchinga Province.
Now, still in the business news updates when it comes to stories, the motor vehicle dealers in Lusaka say the recent appreciation of the kwacha against the United States dollar has not yet yielded results in tangible benefits for their businesses. According to Zambia Motor Dealers Association spokesperson Peva Zulu, most vehicles currently in stock were imported when the exchange rate was much higher, meaning dealers are still facing elevated costs. Mr. Zulu has noted that while the kwacha's strengthening is a positive development, the effect on prices will only be seen once new stock is under the improved rate. Meanwhile, economic analyst Yusuf Dodia says the long-term benefits of a stronger kwacha could be substantial if the appreciation is supported by structural economic reforms. He has emphasized that sustainable rooted in strong fundamentals could lower import costs and provide broader economic relief over time. Here are the details.
The kwacha has continued to show signs of recovery, closing at 26 kwacha 65 in Ngwe by close of business on Friday against the United States dollar. The local currency's recent gains have sparked optimism among various sectors of the economy, but not all are feeling the positive effects just yet. Motor vehicle dealers in Lusaka say the stronger kwacha has not translated into immediate relief for their businesses. According to Zambia Motor Dealers Association spokesperson Peba Zulu, the vehicles currently on sale were imported when the exchange rate was much higher, which means customers won't see lower prices immediately. He adds that the industry typically sees a delayed response to exchange rate fluctuations because of the time lag between importation and sales.
Well, what it means is that, as you can see, the cars that have already been imported were purchased maybe at 28 or 29 when the dollar reached its height. But as at now, the dollar has come down to almost 26. So that variation, which means that if somebody had to buy a car now at 26 and it arrives when the dollar is still at 26, it means that we'll be competing in prices. The other one bought it at 29 and the other one bought it at 26. So that variation of 3 kwacha, it's a lot when you put it on $5,000. You'll find that is you are dealing with almost 15,000 kwacha, somewhere there. Yeah. So you'll find that the variation is a bit on the higher side.
Appreciate that whatever has happened, let it continue happening, and we hope to see that there's more reduction. But when it is reduced, can it be sustained? Then it will be more meaningful to us. But if it keeps on fluctuating, that has been a very big challenge on us as business people.
And economic analyst Yusuf Dodia has echoed the sentiment, noting that while the short-term impact is minimal, a sustained appreciation backed by structural economic improvements could bring long-term benefits.
The strength of the kwacha should be dependent on balance of payments, how much foreign currency we're getting into the country and how is it impacting on the value of the kwacha. And we hope that this increase in value of the kwacha, where we see the dollar has moved from 28 kwacha to a dollar to like 26 kwacha to a dollar, we hope that this is as a result of the export proceeds tracking framework, which was implemented by the Ministry of Finance in 2024, and now we are beginning to see rather late, but we are beginning to see an impact on it, resulting in the strengthening of the kwacha.
The kwacha's recent strength has been attributed in part to improved foreign exchange inflows and tighter monetary policy. For now, however, many businesses, especially those dependent on imported goods, are waiting to see whether the gains will hold and trickle down to their operations. Rachel Mumba for Diamond News.
Well, those are the business news stories we had for you today, but let's take a look at the money markets that are coming up next. Well, for the money markets, let's take a look at the performance of the kwacha on the international market today being the 13th of May 2025. Now, by close of business today, the United States dollar was buying at 26 kwacha 15 Ngwe, and it was selling at 26 kwacha 89 Ngwe. The buying and selling price in the same range of 26 kwacha with a difference of 39 Ngwe. These are the average commercial rates of the dollars, or the currencies rather, between dollars, the United States dollar, as well as the Zambian kwacha. But coming up next, let's take a look at the construction commodities. You might want to purchase some construction commodities, but let's take a look at them. Well, for the construction commodities, today we're focusing on the waterproof drill hoster waste 2 bag electric waste belt 2 push bag. Quite a long name, but this is the name of this particular construction piece that you might want to buy, and it is costing 508 kwacha 74 Ngwe. This price is based on the average commercial rates today that we just earlier took a look at. But we also have another commodity in the construction business that you might want to purchase. This is a 150 watt LED temporary work light, 21,000 lumen construction lights, 5,500K hanging lamp, and this is going at 2,519 kwacha, 3 ngwe. Quite a huge light, but it is needed for construction purposes, and this is its price based on the average commercial rates of the day. All brought to you by the Zambia National Building Society. Coming up next, we'll take a look at the commodity prices. Well, for the commodity prices, we start off with some food items. Beef, 1 kg is costing 100 kwacha, while 2 kg rather of sugar is going at 70 kwacha. 2.5 kg of flour is going at 95 kwacha, while 5 kg of Nakonde rice is in the range of 160 and 180 kwacha. A tray of eggs is selling between 100 and 110 kwacha, while 2.5 liters of cooking oil is selling between 170 and 180 kwacha. Well, 5 liters of cooking oil is going at 300 kwacha, and we're going to take a look at mealie meal. Breakfast, 10 kg is going at 190, while 25 kg is going between 373 and 390 kwacha. For roller mealie meal, 10 kg is at 153 kwacha, while 25 kg is costing 300 kwacha. These are the commodity prices for the food items, but we also have the prices for the non-food items. And we'll start off with some toilet paper. 10 rolls is going to cost you 85 kwacha if you were to purchase it, and 175 grams of toothpaste is in between 26 and 35 kwacha. Multi-purpose soap, a bar, is selling between 25 and 45 kwacha, while 500 grams of washing powder is selling between 40 and 45 kwacha. 1.5 kg of washing powder is in between 95 and 135. 2.5 kg is between 209 and 229 kwacha. But a bar of bathing soap is selling between 19 and 29 kwacha, while liquid hand wash is selling between 45 and 50 kwacha for 750 meals. But those are the commodity prices for both the food and the non-food items, and they conclude the business news update tonight. After this, we'll continue with the Diamond News Desk at 8.
Business News was brought to you by Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank. Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, making tomorrow possible.
Welcome back. You're watching the Diamond News Desk at 8 this evening. We just took a look at business stories making headlines, and now we continue with more stories across various disciplines in the country. Government says it is set to commission a state-of-the-art fuel storage depot in Lusaka West, marking a significant milestone in the country's efforts to enhance energy infrastructure and fuel security. Minister of Energy Permanent Secretary Peter Mumba says the depot boasts a total storage capacity of 102 million litres, making it one of the largest fuel storage facilities in the Southern African region. He says the project, completed in 2024, is now in the final stages of preparation before being operational.
This is a very big investment, and we can't afford to, fold our hands when things are not going well. We want to see to it that very soon this is put to good use. We want to see to it that the hot commissioning is done. After the hot commissioning, then we can start making use of this facility. It's very important. We have been talking of the open access to ZAMMSA pipeline. With that, we want to see to it that we provide enough room for the products. Here we have storage for petrol, storage for diesel, and storage for kerosene. I think we need to make use of all these as soon as possible in order for us to be on a good footing.
A teacher at Matero Boys Secondary School has pleaded not guilty to allegations of stealing over 713,000 kwacha intended for Examination Council of Zambia GCE candidate payments. Eliphas Banda, who also serves as a reverend at the Reformed Church of Zambia, is accused of committing the theft on the night of March 7th, 2025. Appearing before Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya, Banda requested that and was granted free bail with two sureties of 50,000 kwacha each. The case has been adjourned to 27th May 2025 for trial.
A respected figure in both the classroom and the church is now at the center of a serious legal battle. Eliphas Banda, a teacher at Matero Boys Secondary School and a reverend at the Reformed Church of Zambia, appeared before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. This is in a matter he is charged with allegations of stealing over 700,000 kwacha. The funds meant for GCE candidates registered under the Examination Council of Zambia were allegedly taken on the night of 7th March 2025. When the matter came up for plea before Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya, the accused denied the charge and pleaded not guilty. He was granted bail on condition that he provides two sureties worth 50,000 kwacha each. Meanwhile, the court has since adjourned the matter to 27th May 2025 for commencement of trial. Nicole Namwinga for Damo News.
Vice President Mutale Nalumango says Zambians should not expect political leaders alone to end poverty. Speaking at the Regional Poverty Reduction and Climate Resilience Conference, Mrs. Nalumango says that even with frequent leadership changes, poverty in Africa remains persistent. The Vice President has since urged academicians to go beyond producing reports that gather dust and focus on actionable policies that address both poverty and climate change. Also speaking at the event, British High Commissioner Rebecca Tezion has noted that climate change is pushing more Zambians into poverty, including previously considered financially stable. She has reaffirmed the UK's support for Zambia through initiatives like the Social Cash Transfer Programme, which helps the nation's most vulnerable.
And other investments.
The Regional Poverty Reduction and Climate Resilience Conference is currently underway in Lusaka, bringing together delegates to deliberate on shared regional and global challenges. The two-day event aims to explore practical solutions to the climate shocks affecting Southern Africa. With Zambia's stunting rate among children under 5 still alarmingly high at 32%, Republican Vice President Mrs. Mutale Nalumango has noted that despite decades of policy attention and development investments, poverty levels remain stubbornly high.
To effectively tackle poverty, we need economic growth that is not only robust, but also inclusive and sustainable. We need a growth path that ensures that both rural and urban populations build secure livelihoods. We also need a development path that protects our assets and future investments.
And Minister of Community Development and Social Services, Doreen Mwamba, expressed hope that the ideas shared over the course of the conference will lead to tangible outcomes that benefit local communities.
The conference comes at a crucial time when our region, like many others across the globe, is grappling with the twin challenges of climate change and poverty.
Meanwhile, British High Commissioner to Zambia, Ms. Rebecca Tazion, emphasized that the discussions should contribute meaningfully to Zambia's 9th National Development Plan, influence national policy, and enrich conversations at the G20 this year.
The world today faces serious poverty challenges. The UN estimates that over 700 million people live in extreme poverty. The World Bank estimates that 36.7% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa lives on less than $2.15 a day. Yet at the same time, climate change is accelerating with record greenhouse gas emissions and rising temperatures.
And Francis Kasamala, Executive Director of the Program Against Malnutrition PAMA, has advocated for improved nutrition, urging increased consumption of organic foods.
We should come up with practical solutions, and these solutions include trying to go more towards the production of nutrient-dense crops deliberately as a nation. We should not just completely go on production of maize. Of course, it's good for food security, but in terms of nutrition, we need to look to crops that are nutrient-dense, such as orange fresh sweet potatoes, iron-rich beans, orange maize.
Zambia is experiencing rising temperatures at a rate faster than the global average, intensifying flooding and droughts. These environmental changes are straining household incomes, weakening community resilience, and worsening the country's energy crisis. Elfimwale Shampande, Diamond News.
We'll take our final set of commercials, and when we get back, more stories that are making headlines this evening. Welcome back. You're watching the Diamond News Desk at 8 with me, Tapiwa Ngoma. The Parliamentary Committee on Legislation and International Agreements has raised alarm over the low uptake of net metering in the Copper Belt, despite the introduction of Statutory Instrument number 38 of 2024. Committee Chairperson Rumemba Mutale says fewer than 5 people or institutions have registered for the initiative, which allows users to feed excess solar power back into the national grid. He has warned that the slow adoption of SI 38 and SI 40, which allows for open access to energy infrastructure, risks stalling Zambia's shift to a competitive renewable energy sector.
Despite the introduction of a statutory instrument number 38 over 2024 aimed at encouraging citizens to generate their own electricity and contribute surplus power to the nation grid, uptake remains minimal.
ERB. Then the roadmap for establishment of the ISMO is not yet clear. The consultant has not submitted, hence the delay in actualizing the open access. Power has been presented or developed for self-sustainability of the ISMO once created. The ISMO is not supposed to be a profit.
Committee Chairperson Remember Mtale says fewer than 5 individuals or institutions have registered for the program in the entire region, a statistic he calls disappointing given the country's push for renewable energy.
The mandate to be in the forefront to push this agenda so that you are helped with the load shedding that is currently experiencing, just like he is surprised. So don't you think that here on the Copper Belt, or is it what you call it, Northern Division, that's why we have the challenge, because your numbers, they are showing that how many people are connected. If you repeat that.
Net metering allows customers, mainly those using solar energy, to feed excess power back into the grid. It works alongside SI 40 over 2024, which enables eligible users to access existing electrical infrastructure.
They are saying, use ESCO. You are trying to ensure that this is not a success because you want to enjoy the monopoly as a player in the distribution of power and making it very difficult even in case of the net metering. That is why you're not willing, even when you made your submission to the SI, you're not willing to pay people money, but you're willing to pay them back what? Units.
Touched on SI 38 and then 40. The SI 40, how I picked it, you said, no, ZESCO, you are a monopoly here in the Copper Belt. You don't want other players to come on there.
That's what they're using.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Chair. Maybe we need to do again some sensitization.
From Pika Central Member of Parliament Francis Kapianga questioned why applicants must get clearance from the Attorney General's office, a requirement he says may be discouraging potential participants.
Why a ZESCO customer who ZESCO knows and has connected the power for that particular customer, they even sign forms and contracts. Again, when they want to install a net metering system in their house, ZESCO they have to sign a contract between them and ZESCO, which contract has to be approved by the office of the Attorney General.
To remove barriers and speed up implementation, warning that a failure to do so could stifle innovation in Zambia's power sector. Love Mosondosh for Diamond News in Ndola.
You had a long day, you get back home, take a seat, and you get caught up with all stories that are making headlines on the Diamond News Desk at 8. Now that is a sweet melody. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Desk at 8. And as always, it's always a pleasure bringing you these stories. Do stay tuned by staying in touch and making use of our Diamond TV Zambia website. That's diamondtvzambia.com to get all the stories making headlines. My name is Tepo Ngoma. From all of us here, have a pleasant evening and God bless.